Good evening. Let's have some silence together before we start, if that's okay. I just want you to observe silently what's going on around you. You just feel, sense the things, hear the things, become present. Look at your thinking, slow it down. Okay. Some of us have more success in slowing down our thinking. Some of us have less success. And it's like, if I've been rushing around the whole day and thinking too many things, if my thoughts have been rushing around also, then I will have difficulty in calming myself down. But it's, when we see someone else, a bit upset and a bit sort of irritable and not so stable, we tell them, calm down. So why can't we do that with ourselves? Calm down, And when we say calm down to ourselves, it should work, right? Because who's creating my thinking? Someone else? Has someone else jumped into my head and started to create my thoughts? No. So I've done a lot of meditating in my life, and maybe the amount of meditation I've done, I should be better than I am, actually, to be quite honest. Because if I've meditated at least 2-3 hours a day for the last 40 years, 42 years, do you know how many years that is of meditation time? You just work it out. Let's just say 1/12 or 1/10, or 1/10 maybe. What's a 1/10 of 42 years? 4.2 years. And imagine if I'd been meditating solid, non-stop for 4.2 years, how would my stage be, right? So I feel slightly ashamed. I should be better than I am. But still, I've had a lot of progress, and I'd like to share with you some of my secrets, how I've done it. I can't share anyone else's secrets, right? Have to share my own. Now, what I've understood, and let me tell you, I've actually been meditating even for quite a while before I started with Brahma Kumari. So I've been with Brahma Kumari since 1975 as a student and a teacher. And before that, let's say 2 years, so 44 years. And I used to love, actually, what's called the Raj Yoga Patanjali. And, there are lovely books around. I was very impressed by, and his picture's out in the hall here, Swami Vivekananda's book on Raj Yoga. It was like a milestone for my spiritual development. And I understood later on how much deeper Brahma Kumaris has taken that particular angle. Because it's like you connect up with yourself and with... In those days, I was just trying to connect up with what I thought God was rather than, with the source. And I realized that, yes, it's a pretty good methodology, that the first thing that we have to do is to learn to become detached. It's not so easy because, even especially in the West, if you look at the Bible, which is like the source of Western thinking, even for the Jews as well, the Old Testament, there's absolutely no reference to the word detachment. It's sort of like, a strange concept. In the East, of course, in Buddhism and in Hinduism and, Jainism and so on, detachment's a very important part. But to detach, it's not so easy, right? First of all, I have to know who I am, so that I know what's the difference between what I am and what I'm detaching from. And I've understood over the years that it's really the detachment from three things. It's detaching from the body, detaching from the roles that I have to play through the body, and finally detaching from my own story. We carry our story around with us, like, I did this, I did that. I grew up, my infancy was nice, my childhood was great, I played with lots of kids, and then when I was around 12, my parents started to fight with each other, and they got divorced, and, I felt very sad, and then at school I made lots of friends, but I also made lots of enemies, and this happened and that happened. I studied. Don't know why I studied what I studied, but I studied. And then I started to work, and this happened and that happened, and I got a job, I got fired. The story builds up, right? And now I'm meditating. So, meditation is not even in the same dimension as my story. So I want to get to that later. But so it is detaching from three things. So I have to know the difference between what I am and my body, right? Where was I this morning? In Mississauga, right? And I said to them, I had this experience before even coming to Brahma Kumaris. I spent 6 months alone and in silence. I had decided I was only 22 years old. And I decided that I wanted to have an experience of what it's like to have nothing. Now, it's not something a normal 22-year-old kid would do, right? So I didn't think I was very normal. But I did it. I had nothing. But another secret there is I did have one thing. I had a guitar. And actually that saved my life, because otherwise I would have starved. What happened was I was in London, and I decided that I wanted to have this experience. And I went to the closest exotic place I could think of, which was Morocco. I hitched a ride down to there, different rides. Finally I got there somehow. I crossed over on a ferry and started walking from the Spanish enclave in Morocco. Still there, it's called Ceuta. I started to walk from there to Tangier. Walking along, I saw an old abandoned Spanish fort from the road, so I went down there. I said, there's no one living here, I'll clean it up, and I moved in. No bed, right? I had one set of clothes and very little money, actually. And I was going to need the money to get back to the civilization if I needed to. And the local people thought, this is strange, who's this guy who moved in here, the local villagers? And they sort of adopted me somehow. They even gave me a name. They called me Hassan. I didn't know what it meant. They told me later on it meant prince. But in those days, I'm talking about the mid-70s, early 70s, young people in the West look like prophets from the Old Testament. Hair and beard and you name it. And so I started to meditate in my own way. I had with me a copy of the New Testament of the Bible. I had with me a copy of the Quran, a copy of the Dhammapada, a copy of some of the Upanishads, which are like discourse, like dialogues between masters and their disciples, and I had a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, and a guitar, and nothing else. And I tried to understand the universe. Look at my youthly pretensions, right? I thought I could do it. Ha! I became more confused, to tell the truth. Anyway, it gave me a very deep, and I was practicing Raja Yoga Patanjali while I was looking at all of these things. I gained a lifelong love for silence, so that if people don't talk to me normally, I don't say anything. Secondly, I understood that all of the different religious traditions had something in common, because they're all saying practically the same thing. They're all saying, be better, be a better human being, be loving, be gentle, be kind, be humble. And of course, in the more Eastern ones, they were saying become detached. So I was trying to understand what that meant. I had no idea, actually. But I did learn a lot about the different traditions. And even afterwards, I started to look at the different types of meditation so I could compare. And it seemed to me that there are basically 3 types of meditation. And if you look at the mind as sort of a field where a game's happening, and according to the game, if there's a lot of movement, it's like the field feels that. The mind feels what's happening in it. So if there's a lot of violence happening in the game, the mind feels quite uncomfortable. And if the game is very harmonious, right, the mind also appreciates that and feels, oh, this is nice. I have a pleasant feeling or a pleasant mood. And so it's not the problem of the field. It's the problem of the game. So if you blame your mind, it's like blaming the field. It's what's going on in your mind which makes you feel better or worse or happy or sad. And all of the different emotions are the movements of that mental game. But the three types of meditation are based on three things. There's one type of meditation which, okay, there's a lot of too much activity in this field, let's take the players off. Let's take the players out of the game and leave the mind blank. Pretty hard to do. But some people achieve that. And of course, when there's no game going on, you feel great, right? You feel completely at rest, at peace. But the problem is, and this is like Zen meditation, for example, is that's a classical, let's take the players off the field type of meditation. Of course, that has its benefits. It's like if you work for 10 years and you haven't had a holiday, you had one holiday, you feel great, right? So you're having a holiday from your useless thinking. And let me tell you, there's a lot of thinking going on in the mind. If there's one thing happening, and it's an easy calculation, if you have 1,000 minutes of awake time in a day, and you rest and sleep for 440 minutes, because there are 1,440 minutes in a day. So you have 1,000 minutes of being awake, just to make the calculation easy, and you have something going on in your mind every second. That's 60,000 things, yeah? If you have something going on and your mind is quite fractured, you've got something happening every half second, it's 120,000 things. So it's like thoughts, images, memories, ideas, sensations, all of that, disputing for space in a mind. Naturally, you won't feel calm if there's so much stuff going on. And most of our thinking is useless. When I say useless, it means unproductive. Doesn't serve for anything. You're imagining people's motives. Why he did that? Why did that happen? You're thinking about the future. What will happen if? And if this happens, and if that happens? Or you're trying to retell the past to yourself. If only I hadn't studied, gone, spoken, not spoken, if I only had done what I thought I should have done, I would be better, I'd be happier, I would be marvelous. Useless, right? The past happened as it happened. You didn't study, you didn't go, you didn't speak, you didn't decide. So why are you trying to tell the past to yourself in a way that didn't happen? You may be in a situation where someone did something to you and you can't forgive them, right? That's pretty common. How dare that person have done that? The thing is, you were not betrayed by someone directly. You betrayed yourself because you bet on the wrong horse, right? If your horse doesn't win the race and you've got the betting ticket in your hand, what do you do with the ticket? Huh? So you bet on someone, they didn't correspond to your expectation, and you're feeling sad about it instead of ripping up the ticket. So there's a lot of stuff going on in our mind that's been sort of unresolved, and it weighs down, As if all of us are walking around with a big luggage cart filled with all of the stuff we haven't sorted out, Hello, how are you? Oh, not bad. And you look, you're wheeling your own trolley and the other one's wheeling their trolley, right? And in a way we become imprisoned by our thinking. And you know what? There's no place on the planet that you can go to get away from yourself. If you go anywhere, you'll also be taking along your trolley, right? Isn't it? So, this first one, okay, let's stop thinking. Let's remove all of these players from our mind and let's be calm, happy, peaceful. It's a good idea because it's a good holiday. But when the game recommences, your players have rested. Yeah? And they come back on the field full of energy. And they just take over again. So it's a bit schizophrenic, you know. Taking out your thinking and feeling okay, and then going back to the normal, and you know, of course you'll feel better than you had if you hadn't done that. So the second type of meditation is similar. You substitute the game by something, like a phrase, you know. You start repeating some sacred words to yourself over and over again. And so you move the players aside and you've got this chant going on internally. Or you try to visualize something, you put the image of something or someone, you know, or you try to concentrate on a candle flame or whatever. And if you're able to fill your mind with the sound or the image, you've substituted the players. They've gone to the side, and there you are, also relaxing and feeling nice. But again, when you finish doing that and come back to your normal state of affairs, you haven't really changed anything. You're still going to face the same people and the same problems because you continue with the same perceptions. You didn't really transform your thinking. You just had a bit of respite from it. So that's the second type of meditation. There's a whole range of such meditations available. And the third type of meditation is you train the players to play a different game, a better game. So you train your thinking in such a way that automatically you're reacting to things in the best possible manner, which does not incur, you know, if you cause sorrow, what happens to you? What happens? What comes back to you? If you cause sorrow, if you respect people, you are respected. So it works like that. So if I don't change the way I think and my let's say my mental posture, pretty much the same things will continue to happen even if I rest from my thinking for a while. And training the players is more difficult, of course. It's much easier just to remove them and rest them for a while, or substitute them with, you know, some image or some sound. But if you work on your thinking, you can change your natural state of mind, which is probably much more useful. Much more difficult, but much more useful. So that the same situation that in the past would send you crawling up the wall and tearing your hair out, doesn't do that anymore because you've understood. You've seen, you've put yourself in the right posture internally, right? Situation is demanding courage, for example, and so you can put yourself in the courageous posture. The situation is demanding patience, okay? Patience, come on, right? To have that sort of self-control, you need to train your thinking. Got it? So all of those meditations pretty much start with in the same way, by becoming present, relaxing, relax your breathing, become aware that the past is gone, right? It's not there anymore. Future is ahead of you, it hasn't been written yet. Just as the past has created the present creates the future. So let me make a new present. Does take determination. As they say, it's not like going to your auntie's house, but it is very rewarding, even if you can do those first steps. You know, mindfulness meditation, which is sort of sweeping the planet, is actually this very first step of meditation only. It's a word that was a British magistrate in what was called Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. In the year 1885, he was adjudicating a dispute between two Buddhist rivals groups. And he was a student of Pali. And Pali is the liturgical language of the Buddhists. So it was a written language, not a spoken language. Just as Sanskrit was really not a spoken language, but a written one. And he interpreted the word sati in Pali as mindfulness. What it means is remembrance, actually, and it's from the Sanskrit. Sati is from Sanskrit, smriti. And now, probably just this is something that probably is not well known. You know, Buddha was a Hindu, just as Christ was a Jew. And he was born in the same area 50 years later after Patanjali lived, in the same part of India. So probably what was around at the time was his teachings, right? And so as a part of the Buddhist, the Eightfold Path, right, that, you know, one of the steps was sati, mindfulness, which means full attention. Full attention. If I'm completely in the moment, I reduce my anxiety totally. And it works. If I can be fully present and fully aware, all anxiousness related to the future disappears. But we need to go further. It's not just a question of observing. I have to understand what I'm observing, and I have to understand who is the observer. So that's Raja Yoga takes that a little bit further. So let's practice the first step, at least. Become aware and become detached. And maybe continuing that first step is to understand who you are that is observing. Yeah? So just, no need to turn the lights off, no need to do anything actually. A natural state of mind is not listening to beautiful music in the background, right? You don't need even music, don't need lights, don't need even to close your eyes. Just sit nicely, don't sit in a slack way. I know you've been working all day, so the tendency to nod off is probably strong. Yeah? So just sit nicely. Rest your gaze at some point in front of you. Just become aware of the sounds around you. Aware of your own breathing, maybe. You can feel the seat, you can feel the floor with your feet. Feel the temperature. Okay, you're observing the physical surroundings, and you're not in any other place, you're not in any other moment. This is it. And in the same way that you're sitting on your chair, just visualize a subtle seat behind your eyes in the middle of the forehead, a few centimeters back, in between the two sides of the brain. That's the headquarters of your consciousness. It's where you think. It's where you decide. It's where all the information comes. Even all of the sensations are being processed. And so see yourself not as the physical body, but as a spiritual being, giving life to your body. Sort of an energy, a conscious energy, a point of conscious energy. So see yourself sitting there in the middle of your forehead, not as a physical thing, not as your body, but as the source of life for your body. Like a tiny little star. I came into this body at one point, and later on I will have to leave it. And that leaving the body is called death. But I have a body, but I am this spiritual energy. Just fix that thought and enjoy that feeling. So meditation is much more about feeling than thinking. Just feel how centered you are. There's lots of stuff happening around you, but you're in the center of it. Even things that are not here are happening, like your family, friends, colleagues, work, the things that you own or that you have to look after, where you live. All of those objects and people, if I am stable and peaceful, I'm helping my whole network. Just so now stay in the center of your own life network, your center of your life. Like a tiny sort of star radiating peace. Feel that. Feel that you can radiate peace to your whole scheme of things. Okay, now you can just look at your thoughts as if they're sort of, you're sitting in the carriage of a train, or you're sitting on a bus, let's say. And your thoughts are just moving by you. They come and they go. And you realize that if you can observe your own thinking, first of all, you are not your thoughts. You create them. But they are not you. And if you create your thoughts, you can control them. You're the creator. You can think anything. So just enjoy being the soul in the body. And through the body I have different roles, you know. I have my family roles, maybe a parent or a child or a brother or a sister, a wife, husband. These are roles that I have. I'm the actor, not the role. At work I may be the project manager or the assistant, whatever. These are roles that I have. So I'm the actor, so I can administer my roles. Why not? I'm not the role. I have a role. I'm not the body. I have a body. And it is also, lastly, all of the story that I've built up over the years, I'm not that story. It's only a chapter of a bigger book. So I can see even my story. Let's say I'm sitting in the theatre and on the stage is happening my story. I'm also detached from that. In fact, I can correct things that are in my story. I can write something different. So let's open our eyes a little bit more and come back to the normal surroundings here in this auditorium. Okay, open your eyes. How do you feel? Could you do it? Yeah, could you detach a little bit, maybe? Or were you struggling with your own thinking? Lots of other things trying to jump in. You have to be patient with yourself. We should not live at the mercy of our own thinking. We should take control. Isn't it? So that's only the first step. The second step is to connect with something higher than ourselves. You see, I have peace, love, happiness, truth, purity, these things. I have them in me, they're in me. But it's like having a bunch of electrical appliances without the electricity. I need to connect up with some source of power to activate those qualities. I have those qualities, but they're not active. Sometimes they're active maybe, but they don't stay active because there's not enough power. You know, it's like having a cell phone with so many apps, right? And what do you need to make the cell phone work? Has to be charged, right? No charge, all of those marvelous apps which are fantastic. You can take photos, you can speak, you can sort of read, you can write, you can do anything on a smartphone. But without any charge, you can't do anything. So in the same way, I have these marvelous qualities, but they're not active because I don't have enough power. My battery is not charged. Now in the universe, there's only one source of spiritual power. And that's the one that they call God or Allah or Jehovah or Yahweh or Shiva. The one that everyone tries to connect to when they pray. What are people doing when they pray? They're trying to go beyond here to sort of, connect up with something higher than themselves. And even, people, this area here where the soul is, the Hindus put a dot here, and the Christians, they make the sign of the cross here, and the Muslims, when they pray, they touch the ground with their forehead. And when you make a mistake, what do you do with your hand? You don't do like this or like that, right? You do like, I'm stupid, right? So the body's not stupid, right? This thing in here that's stupid, right? And I am this thing in here, and I need power, strength, force to be peaceful, loving and happy always, or as much as I can. No power, that's just called idealism. So the second step of meditation is to connect and to exchange. In a way, it's like a conversation or a sort of loving exchange, you know. You put yourself in front of the Supreme and try to be as natural as possible, which is not easy, you know. Because our idea of God or the One, you know, Allah or Prabhu or Ishwar or so many names, it's like a bit distant, you know. We are, in the Christian world, they beat their chest and say, it's my fault, And the Hindus say, I have no virtues, right? In front of the deities. So we put ourselves down and we put God up, right? We have to change that, because I have to dress myself with self-respect to meet that one. I have to feel good about myself. So I'm not a beggar, I'm a child. You know, a beggar comes to the door, please give me this, please give me that, you know, I'm hungry, I need. A child just walks into the door, in the door because he lives there. So I should do like that. Otherwise, my faults will be more sort of present in my mind than what I can get from this exchange. I can tell a story that once I had to get receive a prize in the capital of Brazil by the governor of the district, the federal district, because of some program that we had, and I was a responsible one, so I got the prize. And it was like quite important. Other people were getting the prize, so everyone was dressed formally. It was a formal thing, and the governor came, and everyone had to stand. But I arrived in Brasilia, the capital, and my clothes didn't arrive. My bag didn't come. And I just had a t-shirt on and sort of sandals and jeans, you know. I'd just come from somewhere else. And my bag didn't arrive. That was a bit of a problem, because I got there and it was like 3 hours later I had to there was no way I could even hire or buy a suit. So the guy that lived there, he lent me his suit. It was great, but the sleeves were short. That was what I had to meet the governor and get this prize with. You know, the coat was okay, it fitted, but the sleeves were short because I was taller than him. So you can imagine you're meeting these dignitaries and you're hiding your hands behind your back. Oh, hello. Because my consciousness was attracted to my sleeves rather than to the meeting. So in the same way, if there's something missing and I'm trying to meet the divine source, the one that we love and the one that we remember everywhere, my attention will go to the short sleeves rather than to the meeting. Got it? What's missing, what's failing, what's not so great will get in the way. So the second step of meditation has to have this loving exchange, and it can be feeling and it can be conversation. Both. So on the screen of my mind, it's happening in a different dimension, right? It's not happening in the physical world. It's happening in that place that we try to jump to when we pray. It's the heaven of the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims. It's the nirvana of the Buddhists, the Paramdam of the Hindus. That same place. So I mentally send myself there, and on the screen of my mind I sort of bring this spiritual sun, this source of spiritual power and light and love, and I start to have that loving exchange, either by feeling or by conversation. And it's very relieving, because if I'm having a conversation and bringing up these deep feelings of love, naturally I'm retraining my thinking. Naturally it will happen, my thoughts will flow towards that, because it seems natural. And I start to feel the current of spiritual energy. So the next step is it becomes clear, what I need in that particular moment. It could be because of a situation that's going on, or it could be because I really want to understand something. But it becomes clear after some time of that loving explaining what it is that I really need. And that's like the third step. I had many thoughts, then I had few thoughts, and now I have one thought. Yes, I need to be more loveful, or I need to be more peaceful. I need to be more powerful, maybe. And so the fourth step is to actually experience that quality. And so if I become the embodiment of that experience, I don't think anymore. I am. I am peace. I am love. I am happiness, or whatever. I am purity. I am power. Not thinking about it and intellectualizing, but that's what I am. So first step, detach from body, roles and story. Second step, connect and start a loving exchange. Third step, move towards some sort of a conclusion in which you realize that you need to be more of something, and that the God can help you to do that. The Supreme or the Divine, however you want to call, can help you to be that. And the fourth step is to be that. Got it? So let's do it. Again, sit nicely, massage your face a little bit so that you don't slip. Okay. It's not a joke. When you do like that, you wake up. You wake up. You see some people when they meditate, you see them go into a deep sleep, right? And then you ask, how was your meditation? It was wonderful. Okay. So again, sit nicely. Rest your gaze at some point in front of you. Who is it that's doing the thinking? Me, the soul. I'm aware of who I am, what I am. I'm in this body, giving life to it. In fact, if I were not here, it wouldn't be alive. I'm the energy, the life force. And my location is that point just between in the middle of the forehead, a few centimeters back. That's where I'm sitting, just as my body is sitting on the chair. I'm also sitting on this subtle seat, just remembering who I am. In fact, forget about the word meditation. The word is actually remembering. I remember that I'm the spiritual being giving life to this body. And I'm also giving life to my activities, so all of the things that I do through the body are there because I'm still around. I'm making things happen. So on the screen of my mind, I visualize another dimension, not this physical one, but a sort of a dimension of light. Beyond here. But the distance is only one thought. It's my home. It's where I was before coming to the physical world. And after a long time, I have to go back there actually. It's where I'm from and where I go back to. It's a place that I try to remember when praying. So I see myself in this dimension of light, just a tiny star, free, spreading light, and also light in weight, no weight actually, just free in light. I see myself and I experience that, yes, in my deepest state I am peaceful, I am loving, I am content. And in this region of light, there is the one from whom we came actually, the one who's the creator. It's not a physical being, it's like a spiritual source, but not radiating light and heat like the sun, but radiating love and peace. So I put myself mentally in front of that one. And start the loving exchange, either feeling or chatting, heart-to-heart conversation. So what would you say if you came back to the source? The one that you've always remembered and loved, somehow or the other, or tried to find in the world or in others. Now you're in front of that one, what do you say? So say what you have to say. So in that exchange, you're sharing things and also listening for things, open for some sort of a touching or instruction or an experience. So if you ask, what do you need to be now, this time in your life? What's the quality that you most need? Ask that question. And probably the answer will come pretty quickly. So let's say, yes, I need to be more loveful. So let me experience love. Unconditional love for everyone and everything. So see yourself as a tiny star radiating that love. And experience it rather than think about it. Just be that for a few moments. Just radiating the quality that you think you need most. So open your eyes a bit more. Try to retain that consciousness even with your eyes open, like your eyes are like windows and you're shining through those windows. And come slowly back. So if you could achieve that experience even for a short time, that is what is called samadhi. The complete immersion in the experience. Were you successful? More or less? Yeah? Like the Indians do very nicely. You don't know whether they're saying yes or no. Any questions or any comments? Yeah?
Is there a difference between samadhi and tapasya?
No. I mean, the deep state of tapasya is the same. Tapasya means intense experience of meditation for a longer period. And that's what actually burns it removes the weight of the past, basically. So you can imagine, how would you be if there was absolutely no weight of your past on you, how would you feel? Free. Free, you know. And we're not condemned by anyone except ourselves. If we are in a jail, we've put ourselves in the jail and thrown the key away, and then we're complaining, "Let me out!" I always remember a story of, probably the versions of this story in most traditions, but there was a parrot. Let's say the parrot's name was Joey, right? Joe. Okay? Maybe Polly, that's probably what they would say in English. Polly the parrot. And Polly was in the cage, and all of the other birds were, you know, flying around and feeling sorry for Polly, who was stuck in a cage. And somehow they gathered together and they managed to open the cage. And they said, "Polly, you can fly now, the cage is open." And what do you think Polly did? Polly just said, "Polly, the cage is open, you can fly now. Polly, the cage is open, you can fly now." So instead of freeing herself, she repeated the words. And a lot of the scriptures are like that. It's like reading a drug prescription and not taking the drug. This is good for this, and this is good for this, and you're just reading, but you're not doing it. So meditation is doing it, and not just repeating it. Yeah, you've probably gone in front of your idols and your saints and your ideas of God and repeated phrases. It's the same. Do it. Don't just talk about it. Become elevated. Don't just worship elevated beings. Be elevated yourself. Right? So anyone got anything else to say or add or question? Yeah?
Would you recommend keeping the eyes open or closed during meditation?
Well, the thing is, I mean, in the beginning it does take a bit of getting used to, because you're distracted by things that you see. But in the long run, it's more useful to learn to meditate with your eyes open, because our practical life happens with our eyes open. So let's say there's a problem in front of you, let me meditate. But you have to keep you walking along the street, right? So it's better to keep your eyes open, but it takes a bit of practice, you know, because you don't shut your ears, right, when you're meditating, or hold your nose. Why do you shut your eyes? Yeah?
For the beginners, how long they have to start meditating? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Well, I would say as much as you can, but, you know, start off the day before you do anything. Yeah. As soon as you wake up, because the first thoughts of the day are the foundation for the day. Do a bit. But it depends on you and your interest, because if you start to have really good experiences, you'd like to have more, right? But at least, you know, 20 minutes, 15 minutes in the morning and maybe in the evening, at least. And during the day, stop every hour for a minute to set your consciousness right. And you'll find that the other 59 minutes are much more useful. Yeah. What else? Anything? Yeah? At the back here?
I have a question. Do you commentary saying, repeat every time when you meditation?
No. I mean, in the beginning, in fact, we do have lots of recorded such commentaries that I spoke now. They're useful for beginners, yes. But in the end, you have to create your own experience. And that will be according to the day that you're going through and the things that are happening, you know. You don't go to your physical father and tell the same story every day, do you? You don't go in front of your physical father and say, "Hey Dad, how are you? How was work today? Good morning." And the next day, "Hey Dad, how are you? Good morning." You know, you don't do like that. It's different. So why the spiritual father, the spiritual mother, you have to go with a different story each time, right? It's your own conversation, not someone else's. Anything else?
When you say, you mentioned something about visualizing when you're meditating, what kind of visualization do you say about?
No, this thing, because it's a bit hard, it's sort of, you know, if you can visualize a region of sort of golden type of light, which is completely beyond the physical world, that's a good start. But you don't really need to see something, but you need to feel it, if you know what I mean. It's more about feeling than seeing things and having visions. Very few people can do that, but most of us get by with feeling. Just try to feel that you are away from the physical dimension and there's light around you and the Supreme is right in front of you. You'll get it. There are some books also. There's one book you can get on Amazon that I wrote called Pathways to Higher Consciousness. And there's another one called The Ultimate Frontier. It's all about meditation and these things I spoke about today. The Ultimate Frontier and Pathways to Higher Consciousness. Anyone else? Everything okay? Fine? You content? Yeah? In fact, they've asked me to sing a song also. You know, let's see how I do. As I said, I was a musician, and I ended up writing lots of songs and stuff. And these are I recorded a CD of songs. It's called "You Can't Write Your Name on the Sun." You can't write your name on the sun. And it's about, you know, you can't pretend to be God. You know, that's what it means. You are what you are, but you're not God. So, is it possible? Ready? Let's see. We haven't tested the sound here, even the microphone. It's not exactly a professional way to do things, but this is actually a speaking mic, not a singing one. But let's see. I can't even remember the words of this one, so I've got a bit of a prompt here. It's a love song for God. Got it? Just watch my hand. If I do like this, it means I want more music. So can you start again? I just wanted to get the sound right. Just start, go back to the beginning. Okay. Precious rain could never bring the change of heart that you have brought to me. The sweetest song could never say the words of love I want to say to you. I wait upon this sunlit space, my one. Your voice so gently calling. Catch the love that's falling from my eyes. The deepest sea could never fill the empty parts that you have filled in me. Strongest force could never break the link of love that you have showed to me. I wait upon this whatever. The music stops in the middle. Right? Oh, what a pity. There's no way. I don't know. On that, can you do? That's half of the song only. Now can I do it again? Freshest rain could never bring change of heart that you have brought to me. Sweetest song could never say words of love I want to say to you. I wait upon this sunlit space, my one. Your voice so gently calling. You wait, your heart is opened up so wide to catch the love that's falling from my eyes. The deepest sea could never fill the empty parts that you have filled in me. The strongest force could never break the link of love that you have showed to me. I wait upon this windswept place, my one. My heart is flying, soaring. You wait upon your golden throne of light. Your voice so gently calling me to your land. Darkest clouds could never dim the orb of light you've planted in my mind. The hottest wind could never dry the well of hope that you have poured in me. I wait upon this sunlit space, my one. Your voice so gently calling. You wait, your heart is opened up so wide to catch the love that's falling from my eyes. I wait upon this windswept place, my one. My heart is flying, soaring. You wait upon your golden throne of light, your voice so gently calling me to your land.